Okay friends, one of the first things we need to do is safely raise and support the vehicle from under the frame. Let's get this center cover off of here. Remove all 6 of your lug nuts and remove the wheel. Now that the wheel's off of here, we have a nice clear view of this area. Let's continue on to pushing back our caliper piston. Typically to do that, you can use a pry bar. Come right in between this area right here, and then we're just going to slowly and carefully pull on this like that. Next, we need to remove our caliper sliders. There's one slider. Do the same to the other one. Go ahead and grab onto that caliper and give it a nice wiggle, see if we can get it to break free. Let's set this up here so it's not putting any tug on there. Remove the rotor. Okay, so let's take a look at our caliper now. We need to start stripping this down. Essentially what I mean by that is we're going to get our pads out of here, and then of course we'll get off all of our boots. Along like this. Now that those are out of there, let's continue on to removing our boots. Generally you can get underneath an edge right here and just pop these off. I'm just going to come in through here and I'm going to get out the little rubber bushings that are on the inside of the slider holes. There we are. This outer seal right here needs to come out as well. We're going to replace that. There we are. Do the same to the other one. Now let's clean this out. Just get a rag in there. Get out as much of this crud as possible. Now we're going to put in 2 of our little O-rings here. One's going to be located approximately right there, and the other one approximately right there, except on the inside. Let's see if I can get this one in now. Now let's get this top grommet on there. Now let's do this other bushing. You're going to notice there's 2 sides, one with 4 little notches and one with 6. The side with 6 is going to be facing out towards us. Let's go ahead and get that lined up and drive it in. Now that the caliper is situated, let's carefully set that aside, and we're going to move along to cleaning up our sliders. So now that we have our sliders nice and cleaned up, I'm going to continue on to just applying a little bit of caliper grease along the outer portion of this slider pin. Let's just take some caliper grease, come right inside the slider boots here. Slide this right in here. Slide this in there. That's perfect, so it's flush with the other side. Do the same to the other slider. Let's continue on to using a little bit of that caliper grease. We're going to go on both of these ears and then right along the caliper piston itself, just in the areas that's going to be touching up against the pads. Let's take our new inner pad. We're going to put both these ears into the caliper slot up along the top there. Pad in there. There we are. Now it's time to install our outer pad. For the driver's side, you want to make sure you have this pad. Separate the ear, slide it over the caliper itself. Okay. Give them a nice wiggle. Make sure they're completely seated up against the caliper. So now you'd want to clean up your hub mating surface. If it looks like this, just go ahead and sand it down so it looks like this. Let's just clean down the rotor braking surface, get the front side, and of course the back. Now let's coat the cleaned area with some copper never-sees. Let's get that rotor on there. I'm just going to start one of these lug nuts to hold the rotor from moving around. Now let's carefully put our caliper over the rotor here. Now we'll just start in both of our sliders and we'll torque them to 38 foot-pounds. Now let's go ahead and put on the axle nut. We're going to tighten this up by hand so it's nice and snug, and then we'll put on the wheel, torque everything down. Now let's start on all of our lug nuts. Now let's go ahead and torque this axle nut to 103 foot-pounds. Now we're going to go ahead and torque our lug nuts to 140 foot-pounds. Now that everything's torqued, let's continue on by putting on our center cover. Go ahead and snug up all of those plastic nuts. Okay friends, all you have left to do now is pump up your brakes.